is the Square Enix London Podcast.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Square Enix London Podcast, EP3, people. This is the May edition of the podcast. How very exciting. We've made it through to 3 episodes. Round of applause.
Hey.
We haven't been lynched or removed forcibly from the internet yet, so we take that as a good sign. I'm joined by Kat Karskens. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
It's good to have you back on the pod again.
I know, what happened? Where was I?
I benched you.
Boo.
But don't feel bad.
There was a petition.
Yes, it happened.
To get you removed permanently.
I signed it. Oh, Toby.
Ooh, well, then it didn't work. So the petition either worked or it didn't. I'm confused. Who to believe?
Well, I didn't take any notice of it, so there we go. But she's back anyway, through sheer force of personality. Talking of personality, or the lack thereof, it's Toby. Toby, hello. He's here.
Hi.
Lack? You argued for such a long time that you want to be part of this podcast, so now you have to embrace whatever role you end up with, which is, as we said last time, the whipping boy. Dan Cito is here as well. Hello, welcome back.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, the resident pro.
I'm cool with that. I'm alright with that title.
I could go either ways.
I like how, well, can I just say, there was actually a tweet that did say, talking very positive about the podcast, and said that I was a great host, so... You know, clearly my ego has been inflated to
Are you setting up dummy accounts again?
Phil 1, Phil 2.
Crap, did I leave my name in it? Good, okay, right, let's get on with the show.
Square Enix London.
So, news then, we always start off with this, and I think since it's about a month now to E3, we may as well start off. Hopefully everyone's seen that we are having a press conference at E3, Square Enix press conference for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So that is exciting, and that's pretty much all we can say about it, because frankly I mean there's obviously a lot of secrecy about what's said in press conferences at E3 and anywhere else, but I certainly have no idea what's going to be in it, so I'm excited and looking forward to it. I can make an educated guess, but I'm not going to do so on the podcast, so
I guess we can talk about when it is, like time.
Yep, when is it?
5 p.m. GMT BST, sorry, on the Monday? I forget the date. Toby, you remember the date?
Before E3.
It's the Monday of E3 week, which is a great day for press conferences. So the good news is that it's a pretty accessible time for people in the UK and Europe, of course. So hopefully you'll tune in. I'm sure it'll probably be streamed somewhere on the web. Most of them are.
Yes, it's on the Square Enix Presents Twitch and YouTube channel.
Brilliant. Excellent. So I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully everybody else is.
Very much.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on then, since we have absolutely no details apart from the time and where to watch, it's good that we're doing everyone a great service here, like a service provider.
It's a reminder.
Proving value,
And
which is
this
good.
means that they should all go watch it, because we wouldn't do it unless there was really big stuff that we don't know about. Right? There's big stuff, hopefully.
There's going to be
So
big...
moving swiftly on to... I honestly, I think, I'm not going to speculate, so I look forward to finding out. Anyway, Deus Ex is out there. This happened just as we were recording last month's podcast. The Deus Ex, I don't know if you saw the kind of the teaser with the guy in a futuristic sort of torture area, and all that stuff happened.
Hashtag can't kill progress.
That's the one. So it'd be interesting to sort of see what people thought about that. But yeah, well, I'm so excited now that it feels like we're starting to get close. New Deus Ex, and it's. I saw a lot of comments, people wanting to. Are you laughing at the way I'm saying?
No, I'm just
Deus
very
Ex?
excited. I can't contain my excitement. That's what's happening right now.
When I was talking about this to a friend of mine, actually, he just stopped me and said, Deus Ex? What are you talking about? And I realised I've been trying to enunciate more effectively Deus Ex, but then that sounds weird. Anyway,
You don't call it Deus Ex.
Deus.
I've seen people call it Deus Ex. I'm like,
Those are people.
nailed on a chalkboard.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. So anyway, but it feels like we're getting close now. So, and it's for anyone wondering, it should be considered more of a follow-up to Human Revolution and not The Fall. I think it's fair to say. This is going to be a big game.
Adam Jensen's back.
That's Adam Jensen for people that couldn't understand what on earth Toby just said.
I was going with Deus Ex.
Don't do
Yeah, please
that.
don't ever do that again.
So, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, follow up to Deus Ex Human Revolution.
The internet's going to hate
So, they could join the club, right? Anyway, keep an eye out for more stuff on that. Very, very excited to see how that's starting to look and shape up. Which Chapter 0 square brackets cry? That's not an assortment of random words, although I am usually known quite well for that here in the office.
That's which, like sorceress, not which episode are you talking about?
Which Chapter 0?
Which Chapter 0?
Brackets cry. It was the question. It was the title of a new tech demo from the team as a follow-up to Agni's Philosophy from a couple of years back. And this was part of the Microsoft event that happened recently. And it showed, Tabata-san introduced it, and basically it was effectively someone was running, kind of moving the camera around and changing the lighting in real time. The point was that, for all the world it looked like an amazing CG video, and then it's like, actually no, this is in-game, this is kind of in-engine manipulation. That was pretty stunning, don't you think?
Yeah.
Did everyone see it?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, it's incredible. The thing to point out, I guess, really stress is that it's not a game. It is a tech demo, and it's a demo to show what we could possibly do in the future in our engines and our game. Some of the techniques might get put into what we can currently do, but I mean, you guys saw the rig that it was running on. Oh jeez,
I've got one of those at home, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got two.
Yeah.
And I also have 12 floor-to-ceiling fans to prevent everything from overheating. No, I mean it's pretty awesome. I love these little glimpses in the future. But you're absolutely right. That doesn't mean that we're going to suddenly be releasing a game with that stuff in yet. But I think it's great for the industry and important for the industry to sort of have a sense of what can become possible in the future. I can only begin to imagine how much effort it took to create the visuals and the however many polygons there were in that character, and the guy on stage running the event actually did mention it, but it was an insane amount. So
they mentioned that they made the animation and obviously the chapter called Cry, because that's probably one of the most difficult emotions to portray visually in CG. So they sort of really took a challenge there with that. So it's quite interesting to see what they did with that. I did hear also on the internet rumours, obviously fan-side rumours, that we're sort of teasing FF16 already with it, but I think we're still firmly grounded with FF15 before moving anywhere at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess talking of 15 then, there was another big splodge of news come out this week in the form of what I'm very, very pleased to see, and that was a response to all the players that have played the Final Fantasy 15 demo so far. Tabata-san and Fuji-san came out and actually were talking about all the feedback they've had, and actually started to address some of those points, and actually threw ahead to a possible update to the demo, which I think is unprecedented, I believe.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one, right? I mean, it's definitely not common to update a demo, which is also why we're not fully committing to how we're going to deliver that at the moment, just because no one's ever done it before. So we don't know if we even can.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, it's just it's an initial look at some of the data that we got from the survey from the Final Fantasy 15 demo. So it's, I guess, the interpretation of the data is still ongoing. Obviously, you can still, as we're recording this podcast, you still can take the survey. So if you haven't yet, please do so. And yeah, it's just, I guess, confirmation of the team's commitment to actually listening to fans and actually listening to what people think about what they've been working on so hard.
Yeah, it's cool. So I mean, just recap for anyone that's not read your fantastic, I have to say, blog post clearly. What were the main points? What were maybe the top 3 issues that people have been talking about, and what were the responses?
You know what? A lot of the responses have been quite. It's funny because you're looking at feedback on feedback, feedback section. Yep. So it's
bit of a feedback loop, you might say.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was good. There was a lot of. I completely lost my train of thought.
Carry on.
There was a lot of good stuff about people not, I guess, realizing how things are perceived on a global level, like how people in Japan may care about this feature more than people in Europe, how people in Europe care more about this in the States, and people being like, why are they talking about this? Who cares about this? I'm like, well, there's a whole group of people on the other side of the world who, culturally, or for whatever reason, this is important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really is interesting to see the feedback broken out across the different territories to exactly as you say, really understand what people in different regions care about. I'm sure there's a bunch of crossover, but yeah, it certainly, I think, brings it home. And hopefully that's what's super useful for the team, because I guess, for teams, and I'm not just talking about Square Enix, but other games as well, from the Western perspective, you can maybe think that how much feedback do they get from Western gamers when they're making games, and sometimes you can sort of see that in the execution, thinking, I wonder if that just wasn't an issue in Japan, yet a little bit of feedback from the West could have really helped to sort of make that game feel more global in its appeal. So I hope that's really useful. There are some other stuff like kind of combat and bits and pieces there.
Camera controls.
Some interesting discussion on character design as well, which I think we'll leave that discussion to the internet, and they've been having that at length. But I think it's just a great opportunity, and I'm super excited to sort of see how the game is going to change as a result of this. So I think the key thing about this latest ATR was that if anyone was in any doubt about why they were releasing this demo early, it wasn't just about trying to sell more copies of Type 0. Yeah. Genuinely, that feedback process is very important. So that's great to see.
Yeah, especially for this team. And I guess there's another point that does come up off the back of this, is that I've seen quite a lot of people say, is that basically there's two camps. There's people who love the fact that they're worth listening and want to hear updates on how the game's progressing and all that stuff, and there's a camp who really don't like that, and there are people who are like saying, stick to your vision, don't listen to what other people are saying, just make the game you want to. And I guess now would be a good time just to clarify, well, at least put people at ease, in that the team they do have a very specific vision for Final Fantasy XV. They're making the game they want to make, but as you mentioned before, Phil, it's like the little bit of feedback can just make what they want to make that little bit better.
Sort of putting those essential tweaks and stuff like that might be seen less favourably by some people. It's not like you're changing entire story elements, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if anybody missed that ATR where Tabata-san and Fuji-san are talking about that feedback, then you can see that on the Square Enix blog. So just go to the Square Enix website and check that out. What else? Just Cause 3 gameplay trailer dropped. Oof.
Actual gameplay.
Boom. Actual gameplay. Yeah. And this is interesting, isn't it? Because I saw a few people kind of write up about this, that it's not a gameplay trailer because there's no HUD. Now I understand what people mean there, because people do like to be reassured that when there's a HUD, when there's that overlay with number of bullets fired or whatever, health bars and things, I get that makes it feel more like the game, and makes you can kind of think, okay, I see. The point about this gameplay trailer was everything that happens in the trailer the player can do. It's just, in order to create something a little bit more cinematic, we just played about with the camera angles a bit. So it is actual real gameplay, it is actually in-game visuals, but just the HUD will be the next thing to be shown off, I guess.
Yes, there is a HUD, we can confirm. There is a HUD.
So but that was nice, wasn't it? I mean, how excited are you to be back in the world of Rico?
Oof. I played Just Cause 2 actually when I first came to Square Enix, I think now 3 years ago almost, and I think that was that and Deus Ex Human Revolution were the two games I sort of played first when I joined Square Enix and wanted to work my way through the Square Enix library, and both of them are just amazing, and I just I think those are the games I look back to the fondest, let's say, during that time.
I'm just looking at the amount of chaos that you can actually create in the game, and some of the stuff you can see, like some of the explosions, the size of some of that stuff being blown up, and the kind of the chain reactions, and of course that kind of the use of the parachute.
I don't think I ever really played Just Cause 2. I just dabbled in it and just messed around. I just played it.
It's just that freedom, really, isn't it? You can just do whatever you want, and no matter what you do, even if you just abandon every quest and ignore every marker, you're going to have fun, no matter what you do.
Yeah. It's just a big playground, isn't it? And I'm personally, that's what I'm most looking forward to. So
blowing stuff up.
So that was cool. Again, if you've not seen that, then go to the Square Enix website. There's a blog post about that too. Just finally there for news, the next project which we're going to be supporting via the Collective platform is going to be launching its Kickstarter in the second week of May, depending on when you listen to this. May the 11th is currently the planned start date, so a bit of an exclusive scoop there. And the game is called Tokyo Dark. It went down very well on the Collective platform and feedback, didn't it, Toby?
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember when I first put up the blog post and sort of shared the first sort of glimpse at the pitch on Collective via Square Enix channels, and basically we use sort of link ways to sort of track how many people click through from one website to another. So I was able to see, how many people click through from the Square Enix blog, let's say, or Square Enix Facebook through to Collective. And Tokyo Dark just absolutely shattered all records for people sort of being interested in clicking through from the regular Square Enix channels. So I'm actually really excited to see how people react now that the game's actually, it's getting real. The game's going to Kickstarter. And then, of course, we've been talking to the dev team behind that, and it sounds like they've got a really solid fan base and sort of a foundation to build upon. So it's definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have played a small snippet of the game, so there.
Good.
Well, he's just rubbing it in now, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was very exciting. So keep a lookout for that, and hopefully, if it's your kind of game, we won't go into loads of details now about the game, but check it out. Keep an eye on Kickstarter. We will obviously be promoting it from the Square Enix website, from the Collective site and channels and so on. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that's a journey you'll join us on.
Square Enix London.
So something we started last month, and we'd like to try and continue as much as possible over the future months, is to talk to somebody involved in the game making process in some form, but try and give some insight into how things work over in Tokyo. This month we were super excited to talk to the general manager from Visualworks, Ikamuri Kazuyuki, who joined us via Skype, and we began by asking him how he got into the industry. What was it that really drove his interest in games and all that kind of stuff?
Hello, my name's Ikamori Kazuyuki, and I work at Square Enix Visualworks. And Square Enix Visualworks is it's computer graphics visual movie production department within the Square Enix group. And within this group, what that means is that we create game trailers and all kinds of high quality, high-end CG footage. And I'm basically a general manager, and also I have some roles as director within the group as well. So I'll be overseeing the production of the CG movies that we make, sorting out budgets and staffing and things like that, and also getting into some of the nitty-gritty of editing the films as well. So that's roughly what I do here.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry, and what was it that I guess attracted you to Square Enix, but also into working with such high quality visuals and CG.
Okay, I first entered the company quite a long time ago when we were still Squaresoft and Enix, and we hadn't done the merger yet. And I started out in Squaresoft as a game designer in the game design, and obviously at that time the spec and the technology wasn't all that advanced. We were still in the Super Nintendo era. So really I started out designing games with pixel graphics, and it was nothing like we have today. But then slowly, as the hardware advanced and the technology advanced, I started working on PlayStation titles and developing some of the graphics and the CG, the movies for them. And so in the end, I didn't set out to be a CG movie designer or in the visuals, but as a game designer. And it worked out that I used the experience of using those more and more quality tools to create visuals, and it eventually worked out that I started working on the really high-end stuff in Visualworks.
I think the history of Square Enix is very much associated with the history of extremely high-end CG videos. So It must be very exciting to work on these movies. For anybody that may not be intimately familiar with Square Enix, give us an idea of some of the IPs or franchises or products that your work is featured in.
はい、ありがとうございます。そうですね、タイトルは、すごい数をやっている。
Okay, obviously Square Enix has got a lot of titles under our belts over the years, and thank you very much for those kind words about the CG visuals. But no, I think to talk about it in general, I've basically worked on the visuals for every Final Fantasy game from 7 onwards, really.
で、キングダムハーツとか、
as well as Kingdom Hearts and Dragon Quest games, and almost all the main Japan titles, as well as also a number of other smaller titles that maybe haven't been released in the West as well. And then recently also been doing the trailers for the big Western developed titles like Deus Ex, Hitman and Tomb Raider as well. And I've been involved in those as both a producer and a director, and in other small, more incidental roles in a lot of those as well. So we've done quite a lot, really.
Well, that's an incredible list. And I guess as a fan, thank you very much for creating such inspirational content.
ありがとうございます。
No, thank you.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the process of creating these experiences. How does it work from the first ideas? Do studios or development teams kind of come to you with a specific idea? How far do you influence that idea? What's that storyboarding process like?
はい、多分、ビジュアルワークス自体、僕
No, I mean there really are a lot of different titles obviously in the Square Enix stable, and they've all really got their own little characteristics and ways of working. So rather than there's one overall visual work style or work process or flow that we follow, it really is down to the characteristics and the individual studios and their ways of working themselves. So, for example, sometimes we'll have some of the game producers and designers will come to us with a storyboard drawn out and say, well, we'd like it like this, but maybe want your input and you can adapt it a bit. And then at other times there are people who've maybe said, we want a video here in the story in our game, but we haven't thought of anything, just come up with something cool for us. And then on the other end of it, of course, there's those who come with a proper video storyboard with really fine details and everything. We want it just like this, and they'll say. And so we would work that too. So really, there's a lot of different ways that individual game studios want to do this, and we try and accommodate all of them.
Which is your favourite method of working? Do you kind of like those ones where you have a bit more creative freedom, or actually sometimes is it easier to take more direction from the development team?
基本的には
No, I think as long as we have a good understanding of the game itself, then it's really left up to us is probably the easiest way for us to work with.
Sure, yeah, I can imagine. So, I suppose the big question: how long does one of these amazing trailers take to create? Because it looks like it should take a very, very long time indeed. But let's say on average for a 30-second trailer, how long from initial storyboarding to the final cut does that take?
そうですね、やっぱ作品の内容によっちゃうんですよね。
No, I mean, again, that really does depend on the type of game it is as well, and the game content. Obviously, some trailers take a long time, and some of them are a bit shorter to make. But so, for example, a trailer video is something that really has to put across all the really good points of the game and show what's so good about the game in a really short space of time. And some trailers will have a lot of assets in there and a lot of scenes shown in rapid succession, whereas others may, for example, have just a single scene where you maybe have the main character and doing some kind of reminiscence from the backstory. So obviously the more assets involved in the trailer itself, the longer it's going to take. I think on maybe some of the shortest trailers that we can get done, maybe 2 months might be a reasonable figure for a short one, and that can really extend up to half a year for the more intricate, detailed stuff where we've got to deal with a lot of other things there.
So when we see gameplay trailers being made for projects, particularly in the West, there's often a lot of discussion between different people within the teams, and lots of revisions are made, lots of cuts or edits, and that cycle can take quite a long time before everyone's happy with the final version. How does that work for the trailers that you make? Because I guess that process is a little more set in stone, or how does it work?
そうですね、アイデアは、
obviously there is a very free brainstorming process at the start, and everyone has as many ideas as they can possibly come up with, and there really are a lot of different opinions and ideas at the start of the process. But certainly after a certain point in the development, we have to someone has to make a decision of what the final content's going to be, and there has to be someone with that responsibility there in the team. So we generally start out with a much freer exchange of ideas, but then after a while it'll slowly come together. But as a policy, we basically try to keep the editing and the big changes to an absolute minimum at the end of the project, at the end of a video really. Obviously it is possible to go back and change something, even a major thing, if we feel it's going to improve the quality. And obviously the overall objective is to get the highest quality video we can, so if that's necessary we will do it. But as a general rule, we try to avoid having too many cuts and big changes near the end.
Yeah, I can imagine it's good to try and keep that on track from as far as possible from the beginning. But what are some of the kind of the big challenges that you face, either when working with the teams or maybe trying to achieve certain effects? What are the big challenges that you have when creating these trailers?
一番大変なのは例えばうち
No, I think overall, perhaps what the most difficult thing that we experience is getting the team which is creating the game itself to have their ideas all down and to have a solid idea of where they want to go with a production. And obviously a lot of what we make is based on a game that's got an original story and an original game that forms the basis of it, and we need to know what that is and all the details of that.
本当にゲームとして固まってるのか生産
and obviously trailers are something that comes out a lot earlier than the game most of the time, so we need to start work a lot earlier than maybe the main game development studio has for their schedule. So really there are times when the schedule really doesn't have the game designers themselves maybe haven't quite got all their ideas down, or they really aren't sure where they're going or have a solid idea yet, and that when we're trying to work with that makes it very difficult. I mean, comparatively, compared to that, once there is a solid idea and we all know what we're doing, the development of the technology and all the technical things we need to create the actual video is actually, I mean, it's hard, yes, but it's a lot more enjoyable and a lot more fun and goes a lot more smoothly.
固まってなくて好きにしていいよって言いながらゲームの根幹に関わると。
But no, I would really say that having the working when the game itself is not finalized and maybe some things are going to be changed in that makes it a lot harder to work on a trailer.
Yeah, I can imagine. So roughly how many people would work on a particular trailer? I guess it will vary depending on the length of the trailer or maybe the project itself, but generally speaking, how many people does it take to make one of these amazing trailers?
そうですね、多分
Yes, to make it, say, a 2-minute trailer, I think you'd probably be looking at a team of around maybe 10 to 20 full-time people working on that until the end. Obviously, it varies greatly depending on the individual tasks that are required. So, for example, we may need extra support from other staff as well. So if we needed a modeler, for example, to create a character model, we'd have to call someone in and he'd work alongside the team on that. And obviously all the other small tasks are done by people all over the studio, so really everyone at Visualworks is involved in every single video we make. But I think, yeah, as a benchmark, as it were, it's around 10 to 20 people for an individual video. They're going to be the main core team on that.
So something that I've noticed is the CG, the feel, maybe sometimes the styles will obviously vary between different franchises. The comparison perhaps between a Final Fantasy trailer and maybe a Deus Ex one, for example. Is that down to different tech, or is it down to trying to find a different mood? What is it that results in that different style?
実は技術は時期に
Yeah, the technology itself is, interestingly enough, generally quite set down depending on when each video is made. So obviously we keep working with the latest technology available to us and working with that and learning how to use that and testing that constantly. So I think if you have 2 videos that we make within a similar period of time, then they're probably going to be using the same technology because that's what we're currently employing. So the actual technology used on them doesn't vary that much. But certainly to get the mood and the atmosphere and the feeling, we really want to bring out the individual character of each title, as it were. So, for example, for Deus Ex, we think this kind of video and this kind of depiction would really work the best for that, and we'll go with that. And for Final Fantasy is interesting, as I said earlier, I've really been working on Final Fantasy for a very long time myself, so I don't have to think too hard about that really, as long as I make it, and I'm the one in charge of that. It generally turns out feeling like Final Fantasy just because I've been doing it for so long. But no, certainly for titles like for Deus Ex or for other titles, really do have to think about that and really try and get the best direction and the best art style for that.
And is that also partly down to research? Do you spend a lot of time really looking into the background of the franchise, or the kind of the last game, or the concept art that maybe the development team has worked on? How do you find your inspiration?
なるべく知り尽くしてやりたいところなんだけど
Yes, obviously we really do want to do as much research and know the game as well as possible, that we're basing the trailer on as much as possible, but it's not always possible, unfortunately. A lot of the time when we're creating very early trailer videos, there's just not going to be the resources available for the game, and things may not even have been decided yet. So, for example, sometimes we get told, well, we've got just the main character, but he's not quite finished yet, but we'd make a trailer anyway. Or, oh, we've got the face of the character, but his hairstyle hasn't really been decided yet, things like that. We've really got to work from a very, very sparse set of information for that. But obviously, we do try and everything that's available we will look at and research in detail. So if there's a game code available, we'll play what's been created so far. We look at all the concept art and everything, and also research on the internet about the series and the franchise. And we also, everyone involved in the project in the department even gets together, and we exchange and share information and discuss about the universes that we're creating for, so everyone understands that. And then certainly, depending on the visual style of the game, the art directors and character designers of the individual games, they've all generally got their own personal styles and their little quirks in the way that they draw things and the kind of moods that they create. So we will definitely much talk to them and try and look at their previous works and things that they've made, to try and get that idea and something that feels right for the way that they design and their style. So we do try and research as much as possible, but obviously there are limits.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there any particular part of the process that you either dread or really look forward to?
そうですね、まあ全体的に
No, obviously I really do like the whole process involved, but certainly if you ask for the thing that maybe I enjoy the most is the overall, we call it a playlist, creating the overall story flow of how everything's going to fit together at the start, and so we really see how we can tell the story through the video, and I like doing it. As long as there aren't any big retakes involved, that's really good fun. But I think perhaps the thing that maybe not the most, it is difficult, but certainly the most hard and then the least enjoyable would be the fine break. It's basically a breakdown process after we've got a list drawn up of all the assets and everything that we need for the video, and we have to work out who's going to be looking after each of those and really organise a schedule and a plan for how each individual thing is going to be handled, and that can take quite a while sometimes. So I think it's that management kind of stuff that I'd rather, if there was a machine that could do that automatically for me, then I'd be very happy indeed with that. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like the admin, which I think we can all appreciate. We'd rather have machines to do for us.
そうですね。
No, certainly when you've got a load of data that you just put down and created, having fun and enjoying at your own pace, and then you actually have to organise that and sort it out, that gets quite hard sometimes.
So do you look forward to the point at which the trailer's released? Do you look at what the feedback from gamers is? Do you check out the forums?
すごくありますね。まあ
Yeah, no, obviously we do really look at that and see how, and we do enjoy it a lot. I mean, but personally, I've worked on a lot of titles over the years, and I understand this and how things go quite a lot. But it's also sort of part of my job to motivate the young creation staff that we have on our teams. So obviously, sort of part of how I do that is to gather together all this feedback, looking at how our latest videos and the things that they've created have been reacted to, and I'll gather those together and then show them, look at the trailer video that you made, look how it's doing. All these people are saying these good things about it, and I use that to improve their motivation. So it's also sort of a part of my job in a way to do that. But yeah, no, we really do check, and we really do like to see the feedback to our products. Yeah.
So from such a distinguished career to date, what's your favourite piece of content that you've worked on?
なかなかどのタイトルも
Obviously, as working on all the titles, and they're all basically, I'm working on them, they're all my favourites. So when I was working on the recent Deus Ex trailer, I was really thinking, wow, this is the best. I was really enjoying the Deus Ex. And I obviously enjoy everything I make, but I think looking back over the career, perhaps the most memorable was the first title I actually seriously got into doing CG movie creation, which was Final Fantasy VII. And I really remember as I was learning a lot on the job with that, and then working through it and trying things out and learning as I went. And that was a really big turning point for my career, so I really do remember Final Fantasy VII very fondly for that.
Yes, I can imagine lots of people remember that game very fondly for various reasons.
からね。
No, that was interesting. I wasn't actually thinking of that at all. Without knowing any of that, I was making it at the time. So.
Indeed. It must be amazing to look back on and see that you had a hand in such an integral piece of video games history, though.
そうですか。あの当時は本当に
Yeah, it was interesting thinking back that we didn't know how the game was going to do when we were creating it. But I remember when I was working on Final Fantasy VII, I wasn't just making the CG movies. I was a regular designer, so I was doing all kinds of design work on the game, from laying out the maps of some of the areas to the obviously I did the CG as well. But I really was designing everything in there. And thinking back on it, it was very hectic. It was a very chaotic time during the dev team working on that. Obviously, in the changeover from the Super Famicom, the Super Nintendo generation, to the first time we'd made a game on the PlayStation, we were all just so impressed with the technology and thinking, wow, because it's on CD, it's high quality. We can put as much stuff in, and everything that we think about and want to put in, we can put in the game. So we sort of went a bit nuts on that, and in the end, it wound up as a 4-disc game, and even then we couldn't fit everything that we wanted to go in there. But no, just thinking about how hectic it was and how much, what the kind of things that went on. It was a really fun time, though.
So just finally, for anybody listening who is inspired by your work and is interested in getting into the industry, working on CG, what advice would you have for them? What should they be doing right now?
なかなか難しい。
Yeah, certainly compared to when I first started in the industry, one thing that's very obvious is this specialization and this delineation of roles. Really, there's a lot more individual roles which require a very strong specialist set of knowledge to work there. So I think overall, my advice would probably be you've got to basically become a super generalist, and you've also got to have a very strong specialist set of skills as well. So for example, if you want to say go into character design, then you really have to know, don't just look at learning CG tools to create characters, but you've got to look at all kinds of things from all different aspects as well that relate to the field of character design. So for example, you've got to look at anatomy, and you've got to look at the way human beings move. Then you've also got to look at the way light falls, and like optical science and things like that, just so you get all the ideas about everything relates to the way that the character will be designed. Or say if you want to go into direction to try and influence the overall the flow and do direction on videos, then you've got to look at storytelling and the way that the movies and plays are constructed, and all the different things that are involved in that. So really, I would recommend having that. Obviously, you've got to have a very broad knowledge base and get as much knowledge on all different aspects as possible. But you've also got to have, and especially if you want to go into a more specialised field, you've got to have that specialist knowledge too, that sharper, deeper understanding of one field as well. But also on top of that, I'd say that the world of CG graphics and CG movie creation is changing all the time, and it changes very rapidly. So you've also got to have that flexibility to be able to move with the trends and the evolutions of the industry, and to be able to maybe take a step back and look at the way you work and your knowledge and your abilities and what's required, and compare that to what's required by the industry at that time, and then maybe be able to change the direction of where you're headed. So I think there's a lot to take in there, but it's always good to get as much knowledge as possible and then try and learn everything you can about the industry and the things you're going to need.
Ikamori-san, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you ever so much for your time.
ありがとうございます。
No, thank you.
So that was Ikamori Kazuyuki from Visual Works. He was a general manager there, and a fantastic person to talk to. Superstar interpreting, as always, from Gavin Poffley, so thanks very much to him. But yeah, I mean, Toby, interesting stuff, isn't it? It really just struck me when we were talking to him how much CG has been part of that history of Square Enix, and how much it's been a standout part of the games that we've created.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I was part of that interview as well, though I didn't, of course, say anything. But it's great. And basically, last month we just came out with the Deus Ex Mankind Divided trailer, and I was looking at it and I was really impressed, and I just thought, what about the guys who actually create these kind of trailers? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could talk to them? And then I sort of researched a bit and found out more about Square Enix Visual Works, and I think they're in a unique position in the way that they straddle both the Japanese and the Western games. Like a lot, for example, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, it's slowly coming over bit by bit to the West as well. But that's all mainly developed in Japan. Equally, Deus Ex, Hitman, Tomb Raider, they're all developed in the West. But there's little direct collaboration between those two regions, I'd say. But VisualWorks really, sits on both sides and works on both.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Anyway, hopefully you found that interesting as well. We will, as I say, try and do more of those over time and talk to lots of different teams.
Square Enix London.
So we're just going to round out then with a bit about what we're playing, and I'll throw ahead to the next episode, which will be, I'll spoil it now for you, the E3 special. So we're super excited about that. But let's begin. Dan, what have you been playing the past month?
I've actually been playing the same games I was playing last month, which is Type 0 and Persona Q, because they're long games. I think on Persona Q I'm like 50 hours in and still not near the end. In Type 0 I finished my first playthrough, and yes, I did abuse the share function when I saw the credits. Very proud. I called my mum, and her response was, "Oh, that's a good thing then." And I was like, "Yes, mum."
Your name is in the credits.
It is.
We were talking about that in the last pod.
Good times.
Okay, well that was somewhat dull answer. Never mind. Kat, what have you been playing?
I can make it better.
Say something interesting.
Well,
I can say,
looking for different games, really. Variety.
I would play another game, but you have to play Type 0 twice to really get this full
no, fair
story.
play. I respect your dedication.
I have been dipping into my Steam library because, as I mentioned in the first podcast, I have an obscene amount of unplayed games on Steam. I've actually been playing games I've played before for some reason that I rebought on Steam, like Resident Evil 4.
Isn't it just as bad as me?
I know. It's not great. It's not great. And Baldur's Gate 2 and Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines. I just started replaying all these games I've played probably several times before. And other than that, I've still been playing Counter-Strike Go a lot. And
of course.
Have sort of roped a few people into the office into joining my team.
Is this the point we should mention the?
Can I just point out that that's also my team?
Our team. I'm the leader of the team.
Can we all put our hands on the table?
Putting the knife
guns
away.
out. Yeah.
So we've been getting a little competitive.
So are you going to do a plug for the clan? Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to keep it secret?
It's a very exclusive one. I mean, we had to demote Scott down from officer to henchman after he refused to show up last week for any of our
he was on
scheduled
holiday.
We don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
no, that's harsh.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, I was invited to be part of this, but I'm so rubbish at the game that I declined.
And just to be clear, it was sort of one of those invitations where you sort of hope that he's going to say no.
And just to be clear, Toby, you're fired. So, let's try and go. Toby, just as your final appearance in the podcast, clearly, do you want to maybe talk about the games you've been playing?
Yes, I've been playing loads. So, following last month's podcast, I got stuck in with the 15 demo. Good stuff. Took about 2 or 3 hours on that, and it was great to see everything. But of course, we discussed that last time, so I won't go too much.
Have you given us your feedback?
Yes, I've given it to you personally. It's a lie.
I will. Oh, gosh, good thing off. I remember that. I don't remember
You should do the survey then.
Yes, I will. On top of that, so I played a lot of Assassin's Creed 3. I have to say, I can appreciate the Assassin's Creed franchise for what it is, which is amazing. But I think with 3, I really struggled a bit more than I did previously with Brotherhood and Revelations. Not necessarily because they're bad games, but just because I played Revelations very, very recently. So it's sort of, more of the same was just a bit too much for me. So I think with those kind of games, you need a bigger sort of gap in between playing individual ones so you can actually really appreciate them. Finished that on Sunday and moved on to Borderlands 2 Handsome Collection for PlayStation 4. Which is awesome, because normally I wouldn't play a first-person shooter on a console because I like my mouse and keyboard setup. But Borderlands 2 does a good job of really, really working well on a console as a first-person shooter.
Cool. Yeah, I really, really wanted to get Handsome Collection, and then I just decided not to yet because it's another big game. So for me, I completed Assassin's Creed Unity, and when I say completed, I really mean completed.
100%. Platinum?
I left a couple of achievements because they were multiplayer ones, and I feel very comfortable about them. But I did I think get all but 2, which therefore, obviously all the collecting stuff and all that. So that took quite a while, but I was very pleased at the end. What else? So I've kind of moved on. I've moved on a bit from World of Warcraft as well.
Oh,
now.
no.
What are you playing 14?
Hell has frozen over.
No, I'm taking a little break from MMOs, and but I started playing Elite Dangerous again, just a little bit. So I'll be honest, Star Wars Day, I was just like watching. Wanted to be Han Solo. And,
So you didn't play a Star Wars game?
No, I didn't. But I played a space game where I could be a freighter/smuggler. So that was it. Anyway, I got back to that, so that's good. Also, I went back to the original Witcher game because I'm getting super excited about Witcher 3.
I did as well, actually.
Weird. And I realised that I haven't finished the original Witcher, and I don't think I've even started playing Witcher 2. So I've got some work to do there, I think.
Yeah,
it's fair to
good
say.
luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. Those are long games.
But in a new section, which I'm going to call Name Drop Corner, I have to share this because I was so excited. I went to Croatia to a developer conference a couple of weeks ago in Dubrovnik. Very, very nice, wonderful weather. Some sunshine, some beer, etc.
Everything we don't have here.
Yeah, we have beer here as well. But while I was there, I was doing a talk about Collective and meeting lots of small dev teams and seeing their games and stuff. And I had a bit of a moment when I realised that in the front row of my talk was none other than Patrice Desilets, who is the founder, the creator of the Assassin's Creed series. So I was super excited. I think you probably get an idea for how much I like the Assassin's Creed games already. So
I think, did you crumble?
I managed to hold it together. I did have a blood vessel in my head somewhere did burst, but I managed to keep it together, and so I was very pleased about that. But yeah, and also so me and Patrice and Ragnar Tornquist as well was there. So I was just my new best friends, but that's okay.
Cool story, bro.
What's a cool story, bro?
Do you have any photographic evidence? Because I'm not sure if we can believe you.
Yeah, I can confirm this. I can go confirm or deny the story.
Yeah, there is plenty of
Oh.
In fact, there is. I'm sure I have a photo of me and one or other and others having dinner and stuff. So yeah.
Right. Well, those selfies with them in the background as a blurry sort of person don't count.
No, that's fine.
That's a big man with a face doing a tweet.
All right.
Thing,
Okay.
Oh no. Oh, he's getting upset.
It's fine. I'm used to it. So that's what I'm playing. But yeah, moving away from World of Warcraft feels like a big thing.
That's a big step.
You'll be back in a month.
Maybe next patch 6.2. Yeah, I'm still raiding twice a week, but I think that's sort of starting to fall away as well. Anyway, enough of that. A quick speculation. Since we're coming up to E3, what are you personally looking forward to, hoping is going to be announced? I'm going to start with 2 things which I would dearly love to be announced, and that's the next Fallout game.
Yes.
And the next Elder Scrolls game.
Oh,
I would,
both?
Are you just
both?
banking all of it?
Well, you know how I really hate long games, yeah. It's like one of the 2. I think the new Fallout game's most likely.
You have been playing the waiting game for that.
But I do have to say that it feels like a long time since Skyrim now. I think maybe going back to The Witcher, I don't know. Maybe I was kind of in that single player RPG mode and was like.
But do you really think they'd announce both? Surely they'd announce. Well, Fallout's like the fun one where everyone's kind of expecting that. So
what you're saying is the next Elder Scrolls is definitely going to be announced at Gamescom. You heard it here first, people. Dan Cito, insider information.
I read it on the internet somewhere. It's got to be
so
true.
it must be true.
That guy on the internet.
Yeah,
I read that.
He was talking to the people.
Oh yeah.
And
Exactly.
the people said
How can
the
you be
people
wrong?
said the thing, right?
How could they be wrong?
Yeah, no, exactly.
But enough people say it on the internet. It has to be true. It's like
Okay,
fact.
so no Elder Scrolls game, we think, but hopefully a Fallout. That would be awesome. It's definitely way past time for that.
Bring it.
Okay, all right. So that's me. Who's going to go next? Kat, you can go next.
Oh God, I'm the thing I like most about E3 is the surprises.
Oh, that's such a cop out.
I know, no, but shut up. I want something that I haven't been looking forward to, that I haven't heard about, that is just random. Maybe something
So
smaller.
like a No Man's Sky.
Like a No Man's Sky,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
Something
Or
a
like
bit
Watch Dogs
unusual.
Division, sort of that. Something that comes out.
I'm
at the
thinking more
tail
like
end.
No Man's Sky, something a bit odd, left field, sort of. Go away, Toby. Other than that, I want to see more of Star Wars Battlefront, because I'm absolutely beyond dying to play that at this
Yeah.
point. I think I want to freeze myself.
Yeah. In
Cryogenically.
carbonite.
Yeah, I want to do
In
the
carbonite.
carbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be a
Yes.
fridge door and...
Yeah, that's
Did
it.
you
Until it
see
comes
the
out.
fridge door that somebody made? It was a...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really impractical. But
No.
Yeah. Depends what you're going to use as a handle, I suppose. But anyway,
his hand of hand.
There's a joke here somewhere.
Let's move
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
Anyway.
Battlefront, no, I agree because that also looks supreme. I suppose my one question there is I want to, because they showed obviously like TIE fighters and X-wings and stuff. I'd love to know how that's going to work in with the kind of the ground-based stuff. So because
Well,
they're so quick. Also,
yeah.
another thing. On the speed bikes going through Endor Forest, how do you avoid trees at that speed? So it's a few interesting design decisions I'm really waiting to see, because if it's like, because they go so fast as a that's
Yeah.
going to be a challenge, right? And if you just keep hitting trees, that's going to not feel very good.
Unless it like automatically weaves.
It just
through
sort
it.
of
Are you
has a little
indicating you're not very good
collision.
at driving things? Because maybe if you're good at games, maybe you'll just be avoid.
Actually, do you know what?
them?
I forgot to mention Dirt Rally. I got it on early access, and I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
playing that quite a bit. And I have to say, it's brilliant. It's the best rally game I think I've ever played. And I have played Richard Burns Rally, and I have played all the Colin McRae rallies, and all that, a lot going back over the years.
Nice deflection, by the way.
Yeah, when
Rip
Toby
off.
talks, I tend to when Toby talks, I tend to ignore what he actually says and just think about what I want to say.
Oh,
I think it's called narcissism.
something like that.
Okay, so some good picks there. Toby, you obviously want to go next.
I always want to go next. So, Half-Life 3.
Oh,
Yay or nay?
oh,
Dan.
someone had to go.
Dan, come on, we can't do
That's
this.
it. Get your code.
We can't do this to me, let alone our wonderful listeners.
Don't tease me like that. Don't
No,
say
it-
those words.
No,
It's
you
Valve
didn't
who
say-
teases
You
us.
didn't say nothing. You didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I'd like to see anything on Persona 5.
Okay.
Specifically, anything to do with a European release date. I would love to hear. Nintendo already said they're not going to be showing Legend of Zelda. Boo. But I do want to see Star Fox. Apart from that,
Do you think there's a chance that because they've hinted at this new hardware, do you think there's a chance they might reveal that?
I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, it seems possible because there's, apart from, well, once Splatoon's out soon, Legend of Zelda and Star Fox are really the only big first-party Wii U games that come in. So it seems like they might be winding down on Wii U development. So it seems logical they might move to the next one or announce it to, maybe come out more details next year or whatever. But at the same time, it's Nintendo. I don't know.
So you never know. Yeah, they do have their own kind of path, should we say. Cool, okay, well, lots to look forward to from E3. It's always, I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there, and that leads me to, I suppose, throw forward to the next episode. I'm intending to do this, okay, so don't take this as gospel because it may not work out, but what I want to try and do is take an audio recording device and just try and get some of the flavour, some of the colour of E3 from behind the scenes, talk to a few people, but sort of try and give you, in next month's podcast, a little bit of a retrospective and a bit of an audio diary, I suppose. So that's the plan.
So if you see someone in a dodgy raincoat sort of suddenly standing next to you awkwardly when you're having a conversation with someone else, that might be Phil.
And everyone say goodbye to Toby. Goodbye.
Bye, Toby.
Thanks very much for listening. Your audienceship is appreciated as always. Don't forget to leave comments wherever you're listening to this that we can see, and suggestions for stuff we should do more of, less of, etc., etc. So more of, let's say, Kat, less of Toby, for example. That would be a great suggestion. Yeah, we'll be along next time. Thanks very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Why are you waving?